You said in the beginning of your book that your intention is never to glorify abusive relationships, even though you're going to talk very openly about them. There's been a lot of critiques about a certain film that featured you as a character. And
Right.
the conversation surrounding Wolf of Wall Street, the people that love it say it just shows the situation. It doesn't glorify. Critics say it does glorify. People hang posters of, Leonardo DiCaprio all over their wall and
Yes.
say it motivates them. Do you think that Wolf of Wall Street glorifies a very abusive situation?
I do. I do. As someone who lived through it, I do think that the movie does glorify it. And the movie actually makes it a farce and makes it funny. And some of it, of course, was funny, but most of it was not so funny. So I do think they glorify it. And I think they had to make it entertaining.
When I watched it, loved the movie. I'm a huge Scorsese fan,
Yes.
so like as a film, it's entertaining. And then you read your book and you see and you describe it like the Greek tragedy on screen, and
Yeah.
it's this award-winning film. And then you start reading the true story behind it, and you start questioning. It's the age-old conversation of what's appropriate, what's not. Like, do you feel any like resentment or like this shouldn't have been made in this way? Do you separate it as like, okay, that's art. This is my story. They didn't necessarily owe me any kind of, consideration there. Like, where do you put that? Because it's in the cultural zeitgeist, everybody has a different entry point to it, and yours is very personal.
Well, and this is where therapy really comes in handy. So I did a lot of therapy because remember, Jordan wrote a book first. So I kind of got titrated into the process through the book.
Right.
And then the movie happened. And so I had done so much therapy around it that my own personal experience was this is clearly something that's much bigger than me. And I'm going to surrender into the process. And that was my mindset.
Did you have a hand in that process at all? Like, did they talk to you and ask for that
No,
perspective? Okay.
no, I had no creative input. I made no money. The only thing I did do was meet Margot Robbie because they wanted to get my accent. And that's why they don't use my name. Because I told them you can't use my name. I mean, not that it really mattered. That was like my own personal, yeah, everybody connected the dots. That was my own personal stance. But no, I had no input into it at all, except for my likeness, right?
Sure. Right. I'm curious. So you mentioned the book. Obviously, Jordan kind of exploited the trauma through writing
Yes.
the book, and I'm fascinated by him. I think that's the reason there's a movie. It's the reason there's so much about him. I'm just fascinated that he still loves the movie, promotes the movie, shares his story very proudly. And this may be a softball question, but how is he so proud of a biography
Yeah.
that most people would say this is the most shameful parts of my life?
Yeah. And I think that's the juxtaposition of the movie that makes it so interesting, right? Because it shows the different sides of somebody like this. But my perspective is that a person such as Jordan will exploit anyone or anyone, including himself, to get his need met for money, power, pleasure, or status. And that's part of who he is as a person.
So it really is the epitome of no bad press, like all press is.
Yeah. Yeah. He'll exploit me. He'll exploit the trauma. He'll exploit himself because, again, he wants to get his needs met for money, power, pleasure, and status.
There's the age old question, does power corrupt or do corrupt people seek power? Do you think that he, from the very beginning, always was looking for ways to abuse and manipulate power? Or do you think it was a situation of power corrupting somebody?
I think it's probably both.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's multiple causality and things like that. But I definitely think he is someone who is drawn to power and being powerful.
Do you think some people are just inherently predisposed to that? Or do you think it
Yes,
always is? Okay.
I do. I think due to their personality, because personality drives behavior. Now, it could be their personality, their innate personality combined with their environment, right? that then creates this perspective or lens through which they see the world.
Do you think there's some people for which there's no hope? Like some people are born with a personality that is inherently looking for the worst things? Or is it something where, early on, if you can identify it and catch it, you can kind of work through those things?
I wouldn't be a therapist if I didn't think people couldn't change, right? So I'm in the business of change. I do think, and I've seen people that are quite pathological change.
Okay.
I have seen that, but I think at a certain level of pathology, I think the rewards that they get are too good. The cozy comforts of being powerful and dominating and intimidating. Why would they change?